the fucking Kaya and Lockhart
Yes.
RP that I did not read.
Yes. So if it is okay with you both, I think it would be pretty cool if you wanted to go through the text RP in character, like for the recording.
This is what you get. This is what you get.
I assumed it would be okay because you were both really excited about it, and it's like, but we don't have it recorded.
No,
This is a good opportunity to
you don't
record it.
understand.
You don't understand.
So we,
Yeah.
after we got off work,
Okay.
Can you guess what we did?
we
You
may
text
have
her feed?
we read it together.
Uh-huh.
We have read through it.
This is funny.
It's very funny. Are you sure? It's probably gonna take a while because it's pretty long. You know.
That's fine with me. Because like I said, I am I think it would be good to have it recorded, and also like, I mean, you guys put a lot of work into it, and I think it would be like fun, cool to see it live. Feel me? If you don't want to though, you don't have to. But for at least have like a little bit of the cliff notes for it, for the sake of if someone wants to go back and listen to the recording, like, hey, this happened in the car, they talk about this and this and this.
I mean, I'm down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's just so funny. We literally just did this like an hour and a half ago. Oh,
So two questions here. One, would you want us to read out the whole thing or just the dialogue?
I would say either, but like, you don't have to read it verbatim.
Okay.
But like reading it back and forth in the dialogue, as if you were doing it in character in the moment,
Okay.
as RP, I think would be cool.
And two, like, it is a little self-indulgent. If that, just kind of pointing that out.
Just fucking go. Because
What-
if you guys continue to like bullshit around of like, well, do
I-
you really want to do this? Then there's definitely not going to be anything else happen today.
Shush.
No, fuck you. What the fuck?
Shush.
we're seeing how much that's actually required, because if we do all of the like descriptions and stuff, that's going to make it a lot longer.
It is fine with me. Whatever feels more comfortable to you, but I don't like, this is part of the reason we're even here. So I don't think it's self-indulgent. I think it's totally fine.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
I'm not gonna hold a gun to your head and be like, you better read all of your internal thoughts too, in the same way that I'm not going to hold a gun to your head when we're doing in-person character RP and you don't say what your character is thinking.
Okay.
Well, shit. Okay.
But I can set the scene and adjudicate that way in the DM aspect of it to help things go along.
I mean, it's help, I guess.
Because like the scene technically starts as they're leaving the bar.
Yes.
Like
so
what? Like while they're patching, while Kai's patching people's up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess to kind of like cliff notes, the descriptions, just what they do.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's
describe.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, like describe in the same way that you would describe your character as they're doing something normally.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys are, the big fight had just happened and everyone went their separate ways. Kaya agreed to take Lockhart or Kaya agreed to drive Lockhart's car and come back for her motorcycle later because Lockhart was very wounded and probably should not drive. And
Yeah.
Kaya did not want her to try and ride on the back of a motorcycle because that would be even more unsafe than driving. So, as you were both like riding in the car together back
Oh,
towards Veloska's and at
Uh-huh.
Lockhart's little hideout, there was as any long late night car drive warrants, there's just an awkward silence at first, and then the slow encroaching conversation that happens.
mm-hmm. That's a really good setup.
Yeah.
However,
Mm-hmm.
let's just go because
Yes, please.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
just go because I'm just like, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit rewind from where you left us off that setup. It was a really good setup though.
Sure.
There was a bit of pushback, but they ended up in the car together.
Yeah,
Let's leave it at that.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, a little bit of pushback.
We'll just leave
Fucking
it at that.
okay. Lockhart need a little bit convincing.
Tiny bit.
And Kaya has buckled Larry up into the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna skip down to okay. So after that got loud all of a sudden. We're skipping up to where I start. Nice. All right. They agreed essentially. Negotiations were had. Kaya got Lockhart to relent to being driven and to not be alone while she has a wound by saying, "Okay, cool. You don't want to go with the group to Veloska's? Okay, you know what? Everyone's going to Veloska's right now. If you need a minute and a moment, we can go back to Legacy and Kaya's apartment where no one is there, so you can collect yourself, and then we go to Veloska. Give you some time to, chill the fuck out." And that was agreeable.
Yeah.
So after Kaya very slowly starts driving because she's being very, very careful, she's driving incredibly slowly. She breaks the silence with, "You still with me, Locke?"
And like Lockhart's kind of in her own head a bit. This whole fight has gone pretty badly. And the fight before, she got pretty fucked up. And the fight before that. So she's a little in her head and a little kind of frustrated. Definitely, that's a good way of putting it. So she kind of was expecting the car ride just to be quiet, but she she'll respond. She'll be like, "Yes, I'm still here, still awake." I do apologize for snapping earlier. He just really got under my skin. It's unprofessional and it won't happen again.
Thanks for apologizing, and it's okay, Locke. I get it. You were upset about everything that happened. Like, I get it, but, that's still, hurt to hear. Especially when you know I'm just trying to help you because you're my friend. Anyway, that red-headed schmuck, look, I forgot her name. What was her problem with you? She seems like a real fucking piece of work, and don't sweat it about losing your cool. Like, she probably deserved it.
If only the rest of the station saw what a piece of work she was. Well, the whole family tree for that fucking matter. Honestly, they're the epitome of what I hate about this place. I hopefully this will be the first and last encounter with her. But if you ever encounter someone with the Vecane name, don't trust a word out of their mouth. Any of them.
Yeah, you don't gotta tell me twice. She seems like she's full of shit. Like, are people blind? Or are they just fucking stupid? Like, how can you not see that she's talking out of her ass? So much asking her for the time is a fucking sanitary violation?
Not that I disagree with your assessment, but I didn't think you were the type to hate someone so much on sight. I actually thought you were more affable than
Uh, I am. Or at least I try to be. At least when, like, the person deserves it. And someone fucking with to make one of my friends upset. Especially you. That person is a piece of shit, and I fucking hate them. They can go fuck themselves with a cactus for all I fucking care about them. And, for the record, Locke, I'm not looking up anything she told me to. I made sure to forget a name because I'd rather call her a schmuck, because that's what she is.
Hmm. Her name is Bella. She's an actress to her core, weaving a narrative that suits her desire. Getting image of the hag who raised her. Regardless, she was lying through her teeth. None of it was true.
Yeah, I kind of figured she was lying her ass off. So, what did happen between you guys? Because I'm guessing she did some fucked up shit. Because you're not the type of person to act like that with someone unless they did something, like, really fucking bad.
Kurt looks really kind of like she's thinking for a moment and not really. Like she takes a moment for herself to kind of process what Kaya said, and she kind of sighs a bit and just like, well, for an extended period of my life, I was under the care of the Vecane family. If you didn't, for those who were outside looking in, they would have called me brother's sister.
I am so fucking sorry. Like, how the fuck could someone like you get stuck with such shitty fucking people?
And luck of the draw. Have you heard of the Head Start lotteries? They run every so often, where they pick a random person for arbitrary reasons, get a better life on Grand Cross.
I haven't heard of it. Is that how you met him?
Mm-hmm. Kind of
So,
nods.
so you got picked, and they took you in? Wait, you said arbitrary reasons? What was the reason that you, like, won?
I wouldn't honestly call it winning, but
It's a quote unquote.
I was born on New Year's. Just some kind of random, like I said, it's arbitrary. Because I was one of the first one on New Year's, I was taken in by an affluent family and raised by them. I mean, supposedly it's better than being on Earth.
I mean, was the Beta life. I'm guessing it wasn't all it was, cracked up to be.
Well, I never really had a choice in the matter now, did I? Can't really say how much better it actually is. I mean, at least I had a roof over my head for the most of it. It's the bare minimum they could do.
I'm surprised they even did that if the rest of that family is anything like that schmuck.
She kind of smiles a little bit amused at what Kaya was saying, and like she just it's kind of comforting to have someone on her side for for such a small thing. But yeah, she wouldn't admit that, not at all. No, never. A lot of them, as you would say, a bunch of smut, mostly.
And here's where Kaya smiles because she's taught Lockhart a new word. And she got her to actually use it. Holy shit. Guess the schmuck gene just runs in the blood. Wait, you said mostly? Are you saying there's like someone half decent in the mix somewhere?
Lockhart looks more uncomfortable, and she kind of just stares at the window, not wanting to look at Kaya, even in her peripheral. She just kind of lost in thought a little bit. Sort of. There was a woman there who worked for the matriarch of the family. She ended up being my nanny. She's the one who raised me while I was in that household. I called her my teacher. She kind of like pauses and there's something like she's lost in thought, kind of almost speaking to herself a bit. Like she was really strict, but I honestly wouldn't have survived without her.
Kaya is listening as she turns. And at this point, she turns onto Legacy and Kaya's street. And she slows down a lot more than she really needs to, even being careful about Lockhart. It's kind of like she's trying to make this drive just last a little bit longer, because holy shit, Lockhart's talking. Do you miss her?
There's a really long pause. Depends on the night. She kind of notices where they are and kind of recognizes the streets they're on. She's like, let's just go for this site. If we don't turn up in a timely manner, they'll just call us non-stop. I suggest taking 196.
Kaya, who was in the middle of starting to parallel park, stops and turns to look at Lockhart and her very not so subtle subject change. When she pauses for a second, listening, before she just slowly gets back in, driving position, puts the car out of reverse back into drive. 196, huh? Alright, Locke. Whatever you say. And after a few minutes of driving, after getting back on the road, how are those bandages holding up, Locke?
They seem to be fine. I don't feel any seeping going on. I think the corders are doing their job. By the way, those two at the bar, they didn't hurt you, did they?
No, they didn't, Locke. They didn't get a chance to. But I'm more worried about you, you know. So, like, would you mind if, like, we pull over for a sec? Just so I can make sure you're all set for us to take 196? Is that cool with you?
Normally, Lockhart wouldn't, like, be interested in this. Like, let's go. But she kind of sighs a bit. She doesn't really want to fight. She's just so tired. And just honestly doesn't want to move that much. It's like, do what you must, but just make it quick.
Kai gives her a small smile. It's like, alright, thanks, Locke. Promise, be quick. And with that, Kaya turns onto a side street, and she parks, unbuckles seatbelt, you know, checks the bandage to make sure Lockhart's not, like, bleeding out before they start their fucking journey to Voyager.
Mhm.
And as she does this, she reaches, like, behind to check under the bandage with her cybernetic hand, because it's her dominant hand, before she pulls it back and reaches with her left hand, her organic hand, to see if there's any seepage on the back of the bandage. Because it went, like, you know, the back side. It covered out of view. Before she is satisfied that Lockhart is not dying. And that's not the secret reason why she's opening up. She gets back in her seat, gets the car back on the road. Like, alright, let's go. Thanks for letting me double check. Can't have you bleeding out.
While Kaya was kind of checking her out, well, checking the bandages, sorry. Like, the wounds hurt a lot, actually. Despite, like, the medication she's taking, she can still kind of feel the pain. And so she's trying to ignore it, focus on other things. And that's kind of when she really hones in on Kaya's arm, on her robotic arm. And, like, once Kaya starts going again, and Lockhart's kind of settled, she kind of turns to Kaya and's like, if I may ask, what happened to your arm? Don't feel obligated to answer if you don't want to. Just a bit of curiosity.
Kaya can't help but, like, open her cybernetic hand, open and close, kind of flexing it subconsciously as she turns on to 196. Nah, it's cool. It's just not a fun story. The short version is it was a work accident, and the big bosses managed to pin all of the blame on me. If you want to know the, you know, long story, I can tell you. But, you know, just as a warning, it's not exactly pretty.
Well, we've got a bit of time, and I'm not going anywhere. If you have to it, go ahead. If not, feel free to ignore me.
Yeah, we've got time. We're taking 196 after all. But I'm up for it. Alright, so last job was as the lead station worker. Worked maintenance, repaired the solar panels, all that shit. Was in charge of the safety equipment and a team. OSHA person. And a couple of years back, we were swamped with jobs. Work that kept needing to get delayed from shipment issues and redone because of bad luck and supplies. But there was this job that we were late on because of all the, you know, delays and other shit. And that day, I was told that we had to get it done that day, or else my whole team was gonna get fired. It was a simple job, you know. It should have been a walk in the park. The only problem was all of our safety equipment was fucked. It was outdated and needed to be replaced. the safety harness that the job required was on its last legs. And I really didn't think it would hold if worse came to worse. But it was either the job gets done that day or 50 people get fired. So I decided to go up there myself. I wasn't about to make anyone on my team take that risk. Besides, it was a simple job. Change a busted light and panel out for a new one. Something I could do in my sleep. Except I fell off the bridge. There was some commotion going on. I don't even know what the fuck happened exactly, but the maintenance bridge I was on got rocked at the wrong moment, and I fell off. Safety harness snapped into pieces, and the only thing that saved me was that I reached out for the bridge, and my arm got caught on the underside of it, where the metal's, unfinished and jagged. So by the time they managed to get up to me and get me down, they couldn't save the arm. Had to amputate it. Anyway, after that, I was fired for reckless employee endangerment. Total fucking bullshit, considering I was the one that fought tooth and nail to try and get better safety equipment, and it was always ignored. They blamed it all on me, and there was nothing I could really do. Hands are tied and all that shit, so yeah, that's how it happened. Now, I've gotten used to it now, but it was rough for a while.
I'm sorry you went through that. Considering all you did for those under you, I would have hoped some of them would have backed you up in this matter, though.
Some of them wanted to. I told them not to.
Why? It's the bare minimum they could have done. You could have died.
Yeah, I could have, but I didn't. And just because I was gonna get sacked because they used the time I was in the ER to get rid of all the evidence, doesn't mean that my team has to go down with me. Look, they've got families, Locke. I couldn't let them try and fight something we couldn't win and risk the jobs.
Yet here you are now, citing Tetsuo and all its corpo minions.
That's different. Things are different now.
Are they? If anything, the odds are much more out of our favor in this case. Just seems rather hypocritical to me.
At this point, Kaya stops at another intersection, and she turns to look at Lockhart, and the fire behind her eyes is slowly building. It's like, yeah, they are. Who cares if our chances are slim? We still got a chance. And I can't just take this lying down, not when it was someone else who suffered for Tetsuo's actions.
Yet others aren't allowed to fight back when you suffered at the hands of your previous employer. No, you're right, completely different. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so glad you understand, Locke. It is different. I wouldn't want other people to put themselves at risk just for me. That's not just worth it. But I'm willing to take that risk, so I'm gonna.
And this is a prime example of your hypocrisy. In your mind, you're the only one allowed to do anything dangerous or sketchy, regardless of your capabilities or if someone else is better suited. Seems like only you're allowed to be the martyr.
Locke, of course I don't want the people I care about to be in danger or at risk. And of course, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that they're safe. And I don't exactly plan on dying or becoming a martyr. Look, I don't see how just wanting to make sure my loved ones are safe is such a bad thing.
Wanting to protect those you care about is different. Actively impeding on them being able to do their part while taking on the responsibilities at the cost of yourself is being a martyr. If they care so much, your coworkers would have done something in your time of need. At least that's what you seem to be trying to impress upon me.
You mean reminding someone that they aren't a lone wolf anymore and that they have a team that they can rely on now? and that keeping someone from doing something that's fucking suicidal is being Amada, is preventing you from doing your part. Locke, can't you see that I'm just trying to keep as many people alive as fucking possible? That I'm trying to keep you alive when I stop you from walking off the edge for some shit? Yeah, look, I know I'm not nearly as good as you in a fight. I know I'm not gonna be as handy as Legs is when it comes to hacking things or anything software. I know I'm no good at talking to people because there's always something that I always miss and I just don't understand. I don't get it. Look, I know. But I still need to be useful somehow. And if by putting myself in the position to take a risk to make sure that the rest of you, the ones who aren't nearly as replaceable as I am, can survive and you guys can keep doing the work that you do, then I'm gonna take that risk. Look, Locke, I can't lose any more people, alright? Including you.
Lockhart is a little stunned, and she just kind of shakes her head in disbelief. You really don't see it. You're the biggest factor into why the group of us is even a thing. I get it. Yes, I'm a lone wolf. It's what I'm accustomed to. But if you're gonna call me out, then you should at least call Legacy out as well. As often as she irks me, she and I are similar in our cautious behaviors. And for Misaka, she was considering running. Trust me. I don't know her reasonings, but I assume part of why she stayed was you. And I can't confirm that, but I can confirm that I am here because of you. If you hadn't protected him, Johan would have died in that race. If you hadn't befriended him, he would still be in his lab alone. And if you hadn't challenged his way of thinking, he wouldn't be trying to be a kind of person. So as you've done for others, you've made a large impact on his life. And when something inevitably happens to me, you're my failsafe. You are the one I am entrusting on keeping Johan safe.
At this point, Kaya has pulled the car the fuck over. And she's just staring at Lockhart, trying to see if this is just a bit. If Lockhart's gonna say, psych, actually none of that was true. So she waits for a second, just to see if there's that psych coming. But when it doesn't come, she's shocked. Locke, do you, really, actually mean that? Any of that? You trust me? I kind of figured you were just, just barely tolerating me. That you were just barely putting up with me because I work with Getty sometimes.
Lockhart is very serious, as she normally is, and she just looks at Kaya dead in the eye. If I didn't trust you, this, pointing to her car, and it kind of vaguely gesturing to the car and them, wouldn't be happening. I have no reason to lie about something this serious. You've been a good influence on Johan, and have made much larger strides with him than anyone else has. You're kind to him, but don't put up with his bullshit when he's being an ass. You've cooked for him even when he's ungrateful, and still help him even when he's being difficult. Not to mention, you're likely the only one on this station who can compete with his intellectual level, and not have him get butthurt when he's wrong. And honestly, more importantly, even with all this Tetsuo shit, you still see him as him. Even if he won't admit it, you're his friend. Likely his best friend. You're the only one I believe is capable of handling this.
There's just a mixture of like emotions and a processing going on. Like, wait, like, you're serious? Like, actually? Holy shit. Look, how? I don't know if I do like all of that. At least not like the way you're saying. Like the way you're saying it makes it seem like it's this just like, and she lifts her hand up and like mimes an explosion in the air. Like this whole big thing. Like I'm just trying to make myself useful, at least as useful as the rest of yous are. Like plus, of course, I just see Getty as just Getty. That's who he is. And obviously, I'm not his best friend, Locke. That's you. How do you not see that? You see me as capable? Like, actually?
Well, I mean, at least being there for your home in my absence. In other matters, you're more than capable. But I really shouldn't need to tell you that. Kind of settles back into her seat. Then kind of realizes the car has stopped. Kind of looks around a bit, looks out the front windshield, and then back to Kaya and raise an eyebrow. Are you alright?
Kaya, who was still like, had her hand up because it was still in the miming the explosion pose, kind of shoots it back down to the steering wheel. And she kind of just like checks her blind spot and just pulls back onto the road. She's like, I don't know. Sorta, I think. Yeah. Look, sorry, that was just like a lot to process. Look, I don't know. I just look, things are different from like my perspective. And she just focuses on driving, and she's kind of thinking in her head of like, man, I really shouldn't have lost my cool back there, and I shouldn't have gotten so weird and awkward about being complimented. Man, now she's never gonna want to be my friend. Shit. That's where her mind's going, and she's like focusing on driving, and she's obviously very tense. Like her shoulders are kind of like tensed up, like her grip on the steering wheel is a bit tighter than it should be. And she tries to like start up a conversation again, just like trying to like project this like normalcy. It's like, anyway, so like, how are those bandages holding up? Wait, shit, I just, sorry. And she just fucking abandons because she just fucking checked them, and she just drives and focuses on driving, and eventually she's able to like calm down and chill the fuck out. And like her shoulders like relax, her grip goes back to normal eventually. And she's gone back to like, okay. Awkward social encounter is over. We're just gonna move past it.
Lockhart just kind of let it slide, like, okay, I don't know what this is, but she'll figure it out. She just kind of settles back into the seat, kind of looking forward and relaxing.
Yep.
Trying to be comfortable.
So eventually, once Kai is able to get her shit together, hey, Locke, so like, why was Schmella being so fucking weird about your name?
Weird how?
Kai just shrugs. Like, I don't know, like, weird like she's not used to calling you that. Something in the way she said it, like it was a question, the way she said Lockhart.
Did you really think Lockhart was my given name?
I don't
A
know.
little amused.
Could have been. It's a cool name.
I think we talked about this a while ago, but you can pick whatever you want your name to be, whatever you want to be referred as. That's what I did.
Yeah, you can pick whatever you want to be referred as. Yeah, right. Tell that to my middle name.
If nobody knows it, does it matter anymore?
Well, what if I want you to know? Like, would it matter then?
Only you can really decide that. You're free to tell anyone stuff you'd like them to know, though, including me.
Well, yeah, sure. Technically, I can tell you whatever, but like, all of that depends. Like, do you wanna know?
Do you want to tell me?
Kinda. Yeah.
Go ahead. Stage is yours.
Juniper.
Hi, Juniper. Interesting.
Yeah, you can see why I don't ever tell anyone my middle name. Like, the only reason why I think Legs knows is because she deep dived on me.
I honestly don't know. But, I mean, you have your reasons. Just like I have my reasons for my name.
You don't? That's kind of surprising. Well, like, my reasons are pretty simple. I just get, like, super fucking embarrassed by it, and I can't stand the looks I get whenever people find out. So that's why I don't tell anyone. So what are your reasons for, you know, not going by it?
The Lockhart ice wall is kind of being seen a little bit. It's poking through because she's kind of considering things on what she wants to say. If she should even say it. But she does end up speaking. My birth name is tied to things I would rather not be associated to. I lived with the Zacanes for a large portion of my life. But I was never family, so why should I refer to myself as such? And after the whole Tetsuo fiasco, it was near impossible to find work. I was effectively blacklisted. Since I already detested my surname and my given name had a huge stain on it, I rebranded.
Kaya nods along. Yeah, that makes sense. But I've got another question, Locke. So do you hate the name itself and being called by it? Or do you just hate the people who used to call you by it?
So, like, Lockhart looked like she was just going to, like, kind of open her mouth, but couldn't really think of anything, or like nothing came out. So she just kind of with the, She's puts a lot of thought into this, like that. That's not really something she had considered or thought about. So, it takes a little bit, it takes a minute or two of just kind of like quiet silence. It's like, I don't know. I haven't heard it in a long while. Only a handful will know it now. I think Johan may have been the last person to use my birth name, to be honest. I honestly would be surprised if he even remembers it at that point.
So what is your birth name, if you're okay with me knowing it?
Lot of conflict going on inside Lockhart here. She kind of shifts a bit in her seat, winces a little because, like, she is injured, but She turns to look at Kaya, trying to gauge her. Like, Lockhart hasn't told anyone her name in so long. And, like, she has trust issues. But she already admitted to Kaya that, like, she's trusting Kaya with Vengetti's safety. So it's like, is the name really that bad? It's a lot smaller comparatively. So she kind of hesitates a bit and says, Crimson. My name is Crimson.
Crimson Lockhart. How's your real name, like, just as cool? That's not fair. That's fucking bullshit. But, I think I just like calling you Locke. It's got a nice ring to it, short, sweet.
She's more uncomfortable at that. Because, like, she never really considered her name cool. She just thought it was like one of those catchy names that is just strange enough that you kind of remember it. And then, like, added the last comment of being called Locke. She kind of, her eyes are a little shifty about that. If by some misfortune we were to encounter any of the people from that part of my past, Locke might not be the best option.
Wait, but I've always called you Locke? I thought you were okay with it?
I am. But considering Locke was my teacher's name, it could get complicated. You swear, if you look at her, at just the right angle. Is she blushing a little bit? But she quickly recovers and kind of adds to the end of that, like, granted, that is if we have the greatest displeasure of encountering Cersei Lapine, which I can't imagine why she would ever be caught dead smarming it and have an Adam's Ward.
Okay, yeah, I could see what you mean, it getting a little confusing. So, do you want me to, like, call you something different?
She thinks for a moment, kind of gives a half shrug. I'll just use some sort of general term for someone you know. I'm sure you'll use your best judgment.
Yeah, I'll do my best to figure something out. Promise to use my best judgment and all that. But, just to double check, would you want me to call you Crimson?
Normally, she would say no, but she doesn't feel like it. Something just doesn't want her to. I don't know. It is nice hearing it from an ally, but I would also prefer to keep my alias until this Teto business is dealt with.
Kaya was also expecting her to just say no immediately, so she is kind of surprised at not hearing a no. And she kind of faces, like, the windshield, and her posture kind of straightens a bit. and her grip is slightly tighter again. As again, she's getting. You can just tell. It's very easy to tell what Kaya is thinking and feeling, and right now she's starting to feel a little awkward again. So, like, is it like only after the Tetsuo business is done, or could I call you that when it's like just us, like if we're alone from like other people? Or maybe if it's like something really important, like really, really important, maybe?
I suppose that's fine. Just try not to use it too often. I'm still not comfortable with my information being thrown around, and I'm sure Legacy will poke her nose where she shouldn't. And she kind of settles back into her seat after kind of looking at Kaya, but she closes her eyes
Yeah.
again.
And Kaya, like, at hearing the non-negative response, kind of like the grip on the steering wheel relaxes. You know, her shoulders like chill out. Because she's like, okay, hard part's over. Whew. You know, a flush of relief. It's like, cool. I promise not to overuse it. You know, I still really like calling you Locke after all. You know, it's, you know, short, simple, you know, it's kind of cute. She stops and she's like, why the fuck did I say that? You don't fucking say that. She immediately fucking kicks on the radio and the default settings of top 100 smooth jazz hits starts playing. And she fucking turns off the street. You're like, you know, we're almost there. We don't need to talk. We're not going to talk about why I keep saying weird shit this entire fucking ride. We're going to listen to smooth jazz. That's a good song to listen to. I totally know this genre really well.
Nothing as emotionally empty and situation diffusing as smooth jazz at night.
He's like, I really wish that Lockhart listened to literally anything else, but I guess this is what we're rolling with.
That was the first thing that came to mind.
This is what she listens to. Therefore, that's the car's default settings. And also, holy shit, I am going to go pee really quick. I have had to pee since we fucking started. I will be right back.
And see, don't say fuck you. You know she would.
Fuck you. Stop
You
bringing
know
me.
she would.
Stop bringing Legacy up. Legacy's not in the fucking car. Leave her alone.
Yeah, well, she's still part of the group.
Leave her alone. She can't
Part of
defend
the-
herself.
Part of the crew.
Yeah, that's part of the reason. Duh.
Fuck you. Yeah, just another reason to say fuck you.
So yeah, that was the TLDR.
Was that actually the end of the?
Yeah, that was the
Interaction.
end of the scene.
Hey. Good. That was really good. Thank you for a more or less performance recap. Then yeah, as like picking up from that where
Amy's AFK
effectively-
still.
That's fine.
Okay.
I imagine Amy will be back right time for us to pick up with the rest of the group. But we'll have I think you invited, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Legacy invited Sprite and Calamity to Veloska's, correct?
Yes, she
Okay.
was going to take Sprite anyway because Sprite also got hit, not bad, but also got hit. So just a check over for Sprite, and it's easier to not have to answer weird questions with Veloska than just take Sprite to her mom. And Calamity got invited as well because she felt, number one, kind of guilty, and number two, JJ's there, and number three, she also just kind of wants to watch Veloska shrivel up and die inside.
Perfect.
And this is why Lockhart didn't want to go to Veloska's.
Excuse me. And that's totally fine. It's fine. So I guess with everyone converging on Veluska's place, and it is like intentionally to have him perform his service, which, I mean, that is what he signed up for.
Yeah, because he
Then,
has to heal Lockhart, and then there's 2 other people. We're not even coming in with just Lockhart. We have multiple injuries.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, normal. And that's, well, normal for Veluska. So we'll pick up with the rest of the crew, sans the 2 who took the long way around on 196, getting there slightly before. Everyone like pours out into, or pulls up and parks in the like massive parking area and does the short walk to the string of apartment blocks that are all stacked on top of each other. And eventually you get to Veluska's hideout room. And you can see every time you come here, the light's always on. You can tell because he keeps the blinds pulled all the time, but he keeps the lights on. And he, like, as you get there with Marcus, Calamity, and Sprite, so I don't think there was anyone those 4, right?
Yeah, no, there's no one else.
Okay. I'm like very carefully trying to remember, like, wait, is that everyone?
Yeah, NPCs were Marcus, Sprite, and Calamity. Because Cosmic wasn't aware that shit was gonna go down, just like we weren't aware shit was gonna go down.
And the only other
Wasn't
like
invited.
pseudo NPC was the bartender, who did not get hurt, and
Mhm.
also needed to remain there to scare the shit out of the one dude when he woke up again.
The only other pseudo NPC would be Larry, who was in the backseat of that car and witnessed all of that shit.
And is going to proceed to tell Legacy everything.
In a very nice way. I heard it all.
Legacy, I have tea.
But
Legacy enables Larry, so Larry is going to tell her shit. Kaya says no. Yeah. Legacy would have had enough sense to probably swing by some corner store or some shit and buy like something with a lot of caffeine and then a bottle of vodka for Veluska.
So I will tell you what my longtime friend, who is also Russian, tells me, which is like, I'm offended that you would assume it's my favorite, but you're right.
So she just knocks on the door, waits to hear like the movement in somebody at the door, and as soon as she hears the door starting to unlock and she knows it's going to be fucking Veluska, she's like, Veluska!
You like you hear the lock give on the deadbolt, and then it, like, the door isn't cracked yet, but the handle, like, it sort of staring at it from this angle, it seems eerily still. And then after that eerily still pause, there's a as it cracks just a teensy bit, and you can see Veluska's like kind of bulgy round face from behind the crack. He looks tired. Like, for Veluska, who's always kind of exhausted from overworking himself, he looks noticeably more bags under the eyes tired. But he looks down at Legacy, And then you see like a slight squint of the eye.
What?
Before as soon as he opens his mouth to start talking, she like
Mm-hmm.
vodka on one hand, giant ass like caffeinated whatever in the other hand, will point like jerk a thumb over her shoulder. 1 injury, 2 injury, Lockhart incoming. I brought booze.
There, you can see that he, whatever situations he has been put in over the past few days, more than just Lockhart, because he is an open service doctor for like quote unquote underground people. You can see that all of the stress that has built up, when you just pull out the goodwill offering, he closes his eyes and you can tell that behind the door he is just like, then the door opens all the way and he just goes, okay, come in. Gestures you in, and there you have established like bartering with like a devil creature. You're like, no, I come bearing gifts to parlay.
She's like Legacy like shooing the other 3 in before she steps in to offer.
And you start shooing them in because it's like, should I have gotten something extra, or no? Just go in. Whoa, nice pad. Like all 3 of them walking in their own weird, like kind of awkward way. They all hustle in. You can see that Veloska actually had someone. There is a stranger. He had someone attending, or he was attending. And in the room on the far side, sitting on a couch, you see what looks to be like some gangster-looking, like punk kid in a leather jacket with like biker boots and torn jeans. Not jeans that are torn from like wear and tear, but pre-torn when you buy them.
Mhm.
And his head, he has the modern mullet where it's like kind of a fade on the sides.
Yeah.
He looks kind of like that, but Legacy, you are at a stage in your life where you can clock this person. This is a high school kid. This is a high school kid who maybe got in a bad group or had some kind of bad crossing, because like Veloska has been treating this kid, and you can see that from the severity of the bandages around this kid's like abdomen, underneath the jacket, that is probably some intense wound. Maybe like some kind of stab wound or a gunshot wound or something, but you have come just when Veloska had finished up. And as soon as you all walk in, a couple, like the other 3, just kind of eye the kid, and the kid just like looks real nervous. His like eyes dart to the floor, and he's like not looking at anyone in the face, looking directly at anyone's eyes. And then Veloska like walks back in, and he says something in Russian, like very quickly, very tersely says something in Russian, and nobody in the room speaks Russian. And so there's this awkward pause. Sprite and Calamity look at each other. Sprite looks at you, like, what do you say? Marcus just shrugs. And then Veloska just points to the kid, and then points to the door, and he's just like, out! You're done, out! And the kid gets up with no hesitation, and just speed walks to the door, walks out, and turns the corner, doesn't bother closing it, just leaves.
Kick the door closed behind her. Holds up the offerings. Yeah, these 2 are gonna be easy. Lockhart, not so much.
He takes the offerings. He walks over to the kitchenette in this apartment. Is not big, and Veloska standing in it only makes it appear even smaller than it is already. But he walks in, pulls open one of the cabinets and pulls down like a single highballer glass, cracks the energy drink in one hand, and then unscrews the bottle of vodka in the other, and will pour both of them in at once into a single glass, into what is some like neon blue concoction which is mostly due to the energy drink. But he dumps both of them in there together, and then just rubs underneath rubs the bags under his eyes and just rubs his chin. You can see that he normally keeps a goatee, but he has kind of let some of the neck and outside of the goatee, like the full beard, he's let that grow in a little bit. Probably not by choice. But he gives it a scratch, and you could hear the sandpaper as he grinds his fingers into it. And he just goes, "What did she do?"
Well, we, and she gestures towards herself and Marcus. We're supposed to meet them, points towards Sprite, and Lockhart decided to just show up on the wrong side of Adam's ward, and we, and she gestures around vaguely, as a group, got jumped by a gang.
Every time you had gestured to Sprite and Calamity, they both wave, and Calamity just goes, "Hey." And so you fill him in, and he nods, kind of not surprised by the situation. Just in his mind, you can see him start going through what probably happened.
I do know she got shot a couple of times. I don't know if any of them actually went through, because I don't know what the fuck that clothing is that she wears, but yeah.
You say she got shot a couple times, and he spills some of the vodka from the drink, and turns it, sets the bottle down on the counter, and leans on the counter and drums his fingers.
Figured you'd want a warning for that part.
Just a really, really deep inhale through the nose. And he brings his little concoction up and he is going to say take a sip. It's not a sip. He takes 2 or 3 big gulps and then puts it back down on the counter and fills it up with a little bit more energy drink and a little bit more vodka. And nods. "I did need a warning." And he looks over at you, Legacy, and then he looks over at you, and you can see he's getting ready to say something, and then he pauses and then looks at Calamity and Sprite. And then looks back to you and just goes,
"They're friends. This is Sprite. Say hi, Sprite."
"Hi, Sprite."
"And this is Calamity."
Calamity answered for both. Calamity says hi, Sprite, and wiggles her fingers, and then Sprite elbows Calamity, and then Sprite waves her hand and says, "I'm actually Sprite, but it's nice to meet you, Mr. Big Russian Man." And then Calamity waves her, still waving her fingers, just goes, "And I'm Calamity. I'm the problem child."
She's lying. They're both problem children, in different ways.
That's
But
fair.
Sprite, very, very old friend. Calamity, also Ghost Protocol like JJ.
He sniffs his nose and then takes his thumb and just kind of wipes on the edge of his nostril. "Okay. Who's first?" And he walks over to the couch. And then Sprite and Calamity look at each other, and then they both look at Legacy.
Legacy
They
points
don't
at Marcus.
fully understand. Yeah, you point to Marcus, and Marcus just goes, "Okay." And he gets up and walks over to the couch, and will sit on the couch and kind of lean forward, put his elbows on his knees. And he'll point to the back of his head and be like, I got hit pretty hard with I didn't see it. Was it a pipe or something? I don't really
I think
know."
it was actually a bat, but still, that was a crack that you... I am surprised you're standing up, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised too, to be honest. I'm hoping that it's not secretly getting worse by the second, and I'm just going to keel over.
No,
In the
we're
moment.
not going to think about that.
Veloska walks over and like he kind of manhandles Marcus, and you can tell by the way he's grabbing him, it like he grabs the side of his head and kind of looks at the back of his scalp and parses like some of the hair on the back of his head with his fingers and looks at the wound. Like it is very much like when somebody is very roughly handling an area that is tender, you kind of preemptively say ow or like don't touch or ooh that hurts. Marcus is doing that like ha like he's getting hurt, but he's not really getting hurt. He's fine.
He's being a baby.
And Veloska like looks at the wound, and you can see him kind of assessing it, and he nods and goes, "You're lucky. If this was a bet, you are somehow very lucky. Most of the time when I see battle wound like this to the back of the head, it's a lot worse." He reaches over and takes a drink from his special mixed drink. "Just patch this up. You need stitches." And pats him on the shoulder, rolls over and goes to grab a stitch kit. And Marcus is like, "I'm really lucky. Got hit in the head and I'm lucky?"
Again, you're up. You're up. You're still standing. That is the lucky part.
Ha 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 ha. Right.
So, also, what the fuck did you do with your arms, my dude?
Oh, that's the coiling. You think that name is dumb?
No, I mean it makes sense now.
Okay, that's good. As long as it makes a little bit of sense. Anyway, that was an idea I had a while ago, but well, I bought it. I had this idea for so like when you throw a punch, or at least after I learned how to really like throw a punch, Veloska comes back with the stitch kit and sits down, and he has in the other hand. So in one hand he has a stitch kit, and in the other hand, well, I say other hand, it's his mechanical hand. His mechanical hand, he holds up like his palm, and you can see one of his fingers extend, and what would normally like break your finger, like if you hold up your hand Iron Man style and then take your index finger and bend it all the way back like to where it's kind of parallel to the floor, like it hurts, right? But Veloska's, because it's mechanical, obviously can do that, and it bends until it like clicks into place and then scooches forward a little bit. So his finger looks like not a finger anymore. It is weirdly slid into some position, and he holds his palm up, and you can see him just, you hear a soft like like an aerosol spray, and immediately this on the back of Marcus's head, it causes him to flinch, and he just like, that's really cold. That is so cold. And Veloska puts his free hand on like Marcus's collarbone and pushes him back so that he is sitting in the chair and not able to squirm away from him, and will spray more, probably 2 or 3 more good spritzes on the back of the head. And then Veloska will take a big thumb and press it right against the wound. He's like, "Not hurt? No? Should it hurt? No." And then he starts to take the stitches out, the stitch kit, and like put stitches into the back of Marcus's head. And you can see that like he's just used basically like compressed cold air to numb the skin to such a ludicrous degree that the stitches won't hurt nearly as bad going in.
Tiny wince from Legacy. But she'll move over to like another like couch and gesture for Calamity and Sprite to come over to, and just like lean on whichever one of them that she wants. Just kind of watch this process.
You gesture to Sprite and Calamity. Sprite follows you. Calamity gets up and walks and sits on the opposite side of Veloska and then gets into a position where she can see the back of Marcus's head. She's like, I want to watch. And Veloska pauses and then looks at her and then resumes doing his stitches. Because she is really, like, really close to his workspace, quote unquote, but she's not in the way. And so Veloska, you can see the silent resignation of like, fine, in his body posture. But he continues doing stitches, and Sprite whispers to you, Legacy, like, do you just know, like, a bunch of, I don't know, ex-gang member or criminal people who just do good stuff now? Because that would explain, like, the suit woman, and that would explain him.
Well, I'm meeting more and more of them. Let's put it that way.
Sorry, what was the first part of the sentence?
Just I'm meeting more and more of them.
They just nod once or twice and say, ah. Huh. So this is the guy to go to whenever things go real south and we just patch up.
So long as we
But-
don't piss him off,
Always bring an offering.
it helps. It definitely helps to bring the offering.
They nod, and then they look over. Calamity, you can see that she's watching the stitches go in with just enrapt attention. That she's just the kind of weird that she wants to watch the medical procedure go on in front of her. But it doesn't take long because the actual like gash of the wound on the back of his head is not incredibly deep or incredibly not incredibly long, I should say. So there's a few more seconds of him doing the stitches before he reaches over and then grabs basically what amounts to a bandage tape and then just rip off 2 pieces of it, kind of put it into a plus sign, and then stick it on the back of Marcus's head with a little cotton ball in the middle of it. And he slaps Marcus on the back and he's like, next. That's it? I'm done? Next.
Shoves
okay.
Sprite off the couch.
Sprite gets up and runs over. And she sits, they sit down very primly and properly, like kind of straight backed, shoulders back a little bit, their hands in like fingers interlaced on their lap, with their feet on the floor, looking very ready to be medically examined. And I'll roll because I think it'd be funny. No, okay. So Veloska starts looking over Sprite's head, and I think Sprite also got. No, I think it was just a head wound for Sprite as well.
Yeah, they got punched in the face and like choked out for a second.
Mm-hmm. So with the punch and like Veloska examining, he doesn't see any open wounds. He just kind of goes over once and then like looks at the example, like the underneath the eye, and sees that it's gonna swell. And he just kind of leans back and scratches his chin. Goes, I've got good news and bad news. Good news is it's not serious. Bad news is it is not very treatable except with this. And he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a like a really, really cheap bottle of aspirin. Sprite just looks at it. Oh. I don't get to have, like, a cool treatment or anything? No. Looks a little disappointed.
Oh, you get to
What do I
watch
have to
Lockhart
do?
when she shows up, getting all the treatment.
You say that, and Veloska, like, exhales again, like a heavy inhale, exhale from the nose. Right. Up. Shoos Sprite away.
You
And
know,
Sprite gets up and leaves. And, like, after the stitches and a little bit of looking over Sprite, that would be about the time that Kaya and
hold
Lockhart...
on. I want to throw something at Veloska first
Oh, go for
before he gets distracted by the insanely injured woman.
it. Mm-hmm.
Like, I imagine there is a little bit of shifting around to try and help him prepare for Lockhart. And
Mm-hmm.
Legacy is just kind of watching him and tilts her head. You know, Veloska, I know you have some questionable licensing at this point because of everything. But if you want to actually work at a clinic or at least help out at a clinic, I do know one that you can, you know, have a normal day on the job every now and then if you want.
You say questionable licensing, and there's very few times you've seen what could amount to a laugh and a smile from him, but that is very genuinely like a snort of just like, and then he cracks a really goofy like smile, and he immediately stifles, and then you say like, basically offer him the opportunity to work in a standard setting again. And Veloska, while he's still doing his little preparations, stops and turns to kind of give you a once-over, look you up and down, Legacy. What clinic would want?
Well, first off, if you go, you cannot tell her anything about me. You just met me, and we're you could tell her that my boyfriend got punched, and you helped out a little bit, so that's how I found you. She's like pats Marcus on the knee.
Gives you a thumbs up.
But my mother does run one of the low-cost free clinics in the ward. And Lord knows she always needs some sort of help.
He, like, Veloska is a very, very still person. He does not fidget a lot. And when you're speaking, he's, again, very still. Even when, like, you mention your mother, or like you're not allowed to talk about me and all this other stuff that normally would probably elicit a reaction from someone, he's just very stoically just taking in the information. And then when you finish, he nods, looks at Marcus, and then looks back at you and goes, "And your mother runs this clinic where at?"
She will spout off the address.
Mm-hmm.
It's not glamorous at all. But I say that considering the fact that you just stitched somebody up in a kitchen chair in an apartment. So you're used to that.
He nods, just very matter-of-factly, like,
And if she asks anything about your licensing, tell her exactly what you told me, and she will find it fucking hilarious. So, you should be good.
he looks a little confused, like, I'm not sure. Yeah,
But she's my
It's
size.
weird.
She's my size, and so just knowing that there's somebody around that is willing to punch out somebody for messing with women that can't help themselves, that'll be funny and appreciated.
He looks, like, gives you a look up and down. Will she ask if I want to prison?
She will ask if there's any current warrants on you.
He nods and, like, not nodding to say yes, but nodding in a like, yeah, that's understandable. And he looks at Marcus and he's like, he looks at Marcus and in this like appraising look, and Marcus has just been kind of sitting there nodding along with the conversation, just like, yeah, yeah. And then he feels like Veloska's gaze lock in on him, and he goes, I I think you should take her up on this offer. I think it would be a really good offer. Back to you, Legacy, and nods once. I will consider this. I will consider it. It might do me good to work in a more controlled environment again. Sometime.
Yeah. Just,
Kind of flexes his jaw.
I doubt just the only thing I imagine, of course, I don't know how all the medical shit works on this station anymore. You may not be able to get prescriptions, but, basic shit.
If I need to give prescription, I can just use back alley source.
Just talk to my mom.
He raises an eyebrow and then closes his eyes and nods once. And he goes to continue prepping, and then, like, while he is prepping, he stops partway through and then turns and goes, Thank you.
Hey, you
And he like
stitch up.
looks left and right, and just and then turns and continues prepping. Turns around.
Yeah, I guess he just kind of like smiles and like kind of does a little shrug. You stitch up Marcus here enough that I figured I'd point you there.
Marcus like scratches the back of his head in the normal like idiosyncratic way that he always does, and he feels the bandage and just goes, can't do that. Yeah, and I mean, it's, I guess, only one of the small ways that we could try to repay you that I'm not really contributing with because she's not my mom, but I like to think that it would help and that I can attach my name to it, but not in a bad way.
Well, we've already discussed you helping her out too, so
That's fair. That's fair. But consider it if you haven't considered it already. Right. I'm gonna stop. And he just, like, kind of clams up. Is there anything that you would want to talk to any of the people there about additionally while there is this kind of waiting period on Kion Lockhart?
JJ is there, right?
No, JJ is not there anymore.
Oh, okay.
part of the reason why I was brought Calamity. I was like, I thought just like be able to be like, hey, we know her now.
Hey, we found her. We found your explosive supplier.
We found Waldo.
Yeah, I guess like Legacy would just kind of like turn towards Calamity and Sprite, like, so B is not going to. He's not going to just like try to shoot us if we walk through the door again, right?
Probably not. He's generally pretty chill. The bar is like his fun project. He does something else on the side where he actually makes money. So I feel like he's only half invested in the bar, but maybe he's more invested in it and he's not worried about it being expensive. I don't know. But no, he won't shoot.
And you're gonna be good to go back there and him not be too pissed off?
B loves me. Well, that's kind of a pointless thing to say because everybody loves me, but B in specific loves me a lot.
Lazy just kind of snorts. And like Lee settles back where she is sitting, like cross-legged, just I forget what we were talking about before the gang members showed up, because we info dumped them,
Mm-hmm.
and then Cal was showing us all the explosives and everything.
There was a lot of like info dumping in regards to like what I think what knowledge they had and what they knew and what they were up to in terms of the operations of this particular cell of Ghost Protocol.
Mm. So it all stuff that if I wanted to talk to, it would be better for Kaya and Lockhart to be there. So not particularly, just like chit-chatting with, I guess, with both of them, but primarily with Sprite. Of like,
Mhm.
okay, your ass is sitting down, we're not talking shop right now, so we're actually gonna have the socialization that we were supposed to have of just talking to each other and like introducing you to the boyfriend and introducing you to the roommate who you're apparently trying to play matchmaker with now. The mundane shit.
Yeah, the mundane shit. Which again, they are very, very dead certain about the matchmaker thing. Like, never been more certain of anything in their life. There's something there. Excuse me.
Don't die, Joe. Don't die.
Oh, I'm good. I've got water. But yes, after I don't want to say suspiciously long time, but it is a good bit of time that passes before Kaya and Lockhart eventually show themselves. Excuse me.
A combination of taking a detour and also taking the long way and also driving really fucking slow to be careful.
It is a combination of many factors, but regardless of that, they have finally shown up after much ado. So you both, Kaya and Lockhart, enter, and you see that everyone here has beat you to the punch. And there's the sort of group malaise that has settled over as it is both late and also post-fight. And it's post-fight enough to the point where the adrenaline has left everybody's system, and it has now turned into like, the tired has started to set in.
The
Of like,
sleepies.
oh my god.
The sleepies.
Yeah. The sleepy and exhausted has started
Fatigue.
to settle in.
Alright, well. Fucking. They arrive. Kaya very concerned of like, okay, you seem very tired. As they walk up to the door. She's like half ready to be there in case Lockhart passes out, just in case she's more fucked up than she thinks.
Lockhart's body is feeling pretty heavy, but you know, she's Lockhart. She can't let that be seen. But as she gets out, she's kind of using the car a bit to keep herself upright, moving from from the car to like I guess a wall. It's not like she's full on leaning on it, but it's like she is using it to steady herself a bit.
And Kaya just like one step, like right next to her, walking with her, of like, in case she goes down. And fucking Kaya unbuckles Larry. Because she did buckle him in.
You unbuckle Larry, and immediately Larry like spirals up, like ballerina style, and is free.
Aw.
Aw. Yeah,
I can just imagine that.
Gotta get him to a car seat. Get a booster seat for him. It's, oh my god, it's like a drone charging thingy to put in the car. It's not a booster seat. No, it's to charge because he's a drone. Does it look like a booster seat? A little bit, but it's not.
Not my child.
No.
Actually.
It's like that little like clip or gif essentially of like a baby that was like swaddled, and as soon as the like swaddle like opens, like immediately the hands pop up above his head, stretch.
He launches into the air.
As soon as there's a knock on the door, before Veloska can even get up, fucking Legacy is up and opening the door. Like, hey, you're not dead. Cool.
Thanks.
Well, I knew you weren't going to be dead. That one, though. Points at Lockhart.
I'm not dying anytime soon.
Well, you say that.
You say I'm not dying anytime soon, and Veloska, you hear like, he has gotten another glass and filled it. This time he is out of energy drinks, so it is just vodka on the rocks.
Jesus.
And he walks over and just goes, "You're welcome."
And you're also welcome. I bought him the bribe this time.
Oh, thanks.
Inside.
Okay, cool. Inside. Jesus, what the fuck's happening outside? What the fuck is that?
That is
yelling.
That's a screaming dog. That's a screaming hound.
What the fuck? Do I look outside or do I mind my own business?
Get the tea. As long as there's not gunshots, get the tea.
Alright, I'm looking. I'll peek out. What the fuck's outside? I don't see anything. I hear it though. Where the fuck are you? Dog. Show thyself. I don't see dog. Nope. I guess they're just out of view. Sailors come to investigate too. So what he does is, my window is right behind my desk, so I can lean over my desk. But he goes under my desk and he uses his nose to like move the blinds so that he can peek.
Aww.
So that he just lifted it up just now to also peek. So we were both peeking through the blinds.
When you and your dog are just as nosy as each other.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. I couldn't find him either. So sorry about that. I was very concerned. I was like, what the fuck's happening? But yeah. I'm gonna usher Lockhart inside. Get through the door, please. But take your time. But also, inside. And there's just this, like, she's very, very close of like, okay, just in case Even though we're here, falling would not be good for you.
Just
Lockhart
closed door
looks
behind
like-
them.
Mhm.
Lockhart looks like absolute shit.
Yeah.
Her outfit is fucked too.
Yep.
Gonna have to get a new one of those, damn it.
Yep.
It's like
Mm.
freaking the white undershirt is completely drenched, stained red. Same as the coat jacket. There's holes in everything. It looks bad. Oh yeah, she doesn't have the sling for her arm. That's not great.
Yeah.
I don't think Voloska will have problems with that. Not at all. It's fine. It was pretty much healed anyways.
Oh my god.
Mm.
Yeah,
You
she's
walk
gonna
in.
get ushered to the fucking patient area.
Voloska he rarely looks to be like in a jokey kind of mood. But today in particular, he gives you a very stinky-eyed look of like, oh, I see. And he looks, you can see his eyes dart slightly down, or his eyes go slightly down, and he's looking at your arm that is unslung, and then looks at your like abdomen, like the little lower left area of your abdomen where there's just all red, soaked completely through. And he'll walk up and put a hand on your shoulder, and then not to like congratulate you in any way, puts a hand on your shoulder so that he can turn you a little bit and see behind you and see that there's less blood on the opposite side, which means most of the bullets did not go through, or at least not all the way through. And he just nods. Pinches his brow.
Lockhart's
And
in
he'll
trouble.
he'll walk over to the little vodka area, and he'll take his glass and just the last little bit of vodka, he will down it and then fill it with water, and then start drinking the water. And he is going to gesture to you to go to the couch. You are lucky your friend brought me things.
You act as if I wouldn't have paid you back after.
I didn't hear the back half of your sentence.
You act as if I wouldn't have paid you back afterwards.
No, you're lucky she brought me things because I'm not in a good mood.
Hmm.
Not because I don't think you're good for it, but because I'm not in a good mood to do it. Or at least I wasn't. But I'm in a good mood now. He points to Legacy and just goes, "You're welcome." Like looking at Lockhart but pointing to Legacy.
Legacy in the middle of grabbing Larry and trying to sneak back away with Larry.
Larry, who has given up completely and is willing to be snuck away with.
Wee. But very, very quiet.
Just like pauses, grins, looks between Lockhart and Voloska. See, I may not be useful in a fight, but I do know a few things.
Yeah, pineapple cans.
Those were surprisingly effective, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't expect to do that much.
You just fucking, and she like mimes like fucking throwing something. She's like, beamed him.
That piston arm is sounding better and better, Marcus.
Oh, yeah. So Anyway, like after I figured out how to do like a punch correctly, I figured that most of the mechanics of the punch don't come from your arms or whatever, and so I did a little bit of research and picked Ben Getty's brain a little bit, and he stops because that was a poor choice of words. I asked Ben Getty for his opinion and had him help me with this thing, and he gestures to the cord that is on his arm. And lo and behold, it works great. I'm actually really impressed it worked right away. I was expecting it to need a lot more work.
And worked well enough to keep Lockhart on her feet. Another you're welcome.
Hmm.
Oh, don't get pissy now.
Lockhart kind of is taking in all of the you're welcomes kind of thing. She kind of looks to the side, says, "Thank you."
Oh my god.
You
Write
say
that down
thank
in the
you,
history books.
and Marcus like blinks, and then like looks real like narrows his eyes a little bit, and he doesn't say it, but there is a conscious like, is she okay?
Lockhart is not looking at anyone. She sees her lazy boy and goes straight for it.
He pointed to the couch. Go to the fucking couch. You're gonna have surgery, ma'am.
Good mood means I'm using good anesthesia.
Slight hesitation, but she goes to the couch.
There we go. Also, Kaya, how fucking long does it take you to fucking drive across the ward? Do you not know how to race in a car like you can race on a bike?
Kaya, who was just like, she said thank you. Nice. Kind of stiffens a bit. She's like, well, she's, hurt. I'm not gonna, cut corners. I'm like, yeah, I can race in a car too, but I choose not to. Bikes are cooler, so. It was a long drive. The drive. We're here. She's fucking.
Right now leans in, engaged in the conversation. So you took like a long route, right? You just went the long way around? Is that what you did?
She was driving slower than a grandmother.
Kaya looks offended. She's like, yeah, right, because, someone's injured in the front seat. It's not like you fucking told me to take 196 or anything. Fucking grumbling under her breath as she goes. She's gonna sit down on Lockhart's lazy boy chair. So I don't know if any of you picked up what I was saying. I think I mumbled too well.
Yes, I
okay.
heard.
You heard? Okay.
Lockhart slightly glares at Kaya. Not full on glaring, but just like really.
Fucking shrug. It's like, what? Plop.
She just rolls her eyes and with her good arm puts it over her eyes, just like, I don't want to deal with this.
And we also now know, thank you for the forewarning, Lockhart, that you are wanted by, like, how many gangs in Adams Ward? So I guess now you're fucking boogeyman rather than wanted by them?
I had no clue I was wanted by any of those hooligans.
Pretty sure they're gonna write fucking like horror stories about you.
Good, maybe they'll leave me alone then.
Eh, you don't know how dumb punks work, do you?
I wish how you would assume it worked.
It may keep that group away from you, but now you just became bragging rights for whoever can manage to chop off your head.
Heavy sigh.
We could just, hope it's just the one. Because I think you only fucked with, what the fuck are they called? The neon shits?
Terabytes.
Terabyte?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's just the one, from, the race, and that's it.
Well, that's the only one
What?
that she fucked with, but did you see all the other knuckleheads sitting in that bar? Looks towards Calamity. Who are the ones that had the fucking swords?
So, they were not a named gang. They were what is called a booster gang, which is a gang that wants to make a name for itself. So they're not big enough yet. The Terabyte Boys were a booster gang, but now are like official.
Yeah, we kicked the shit out of the Terabytes in front of who knows how many boosters.
Marcus, looks a little bit worried and kind of, goes to scratch the back of his head and then touches the bandage again and just goes, ah. Well,
Legacy is just going to make the executive decision. She is now sitting in his lap, holding his hands to stop him from doing that shit.
You can feel the tug as he sit, but then he kind of relents and just goes, well, I mean, she did kind of put on like a huge show of authority, getting beat up and shot a few times and fighting them all with one arm and then taking off the sling. She kind of, I think the most appropriate phrase would be like scared them shitless. And then Sprite will pat him on the back and be like, yeah, you're telling me. She scared him shitless, alright. But, well, if I know anything about booster gangs, it's now going to be like maybe kind of a thing. It depends on how big of a name she gets. And she points to Lockhart.
Yeah, Lockhart, you want to be a mob boss?
No, I'd rather not. I'd rather just stay anonymous.
Calamity's pipes up and just goes, you could be a good mob boss.
I do not want to be a mob boss.
What about a hitman?
I think she already is.
Yeah, but why are you a hitman for them and just gestures to the half of the room that has everyone else but you and Veloska?
Well, I wasn't Merc.
Oh, that does explain it.
Then all this is going down. I got wrapped up in it.
Well, to be fair, at least the past 2 times you have gotten injured have been your own decisions and your own fault.
Well, what is the plan now? Because, I mean, we got into that big kick-ass fight and showed a gang what's what, but what happens next? Because, like, we can't just sit around and wait for the gang to come find us again. If they even want to find you, that is.
Why would we even be dealing with them?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, the gang's like was an extra thing. None of us planned.
Well, then, what is the next thing that is planned, I guess? Because now I'm involved and I want to be up to no good. I have a record to keep up with.
Well, that is, we're still figuring that out because we're going to do something while you're on stage, Sprite.
That does make sense. Though I'd rather be involved in the mischief directly than the distraction, kinda. But
I mean, if you can cause big mischief outside, isn't that more fun?
that's a good point.
But we have to figure out if we're going to be going for HQ or the labs. Which is going to require some intel from you, points at Cal. And a double check on the old site that Lockhart almost died in 2 days ago. You're going for a record.
We were going to look into that tomorrow.
Well, I don't think Kaya's going to let you out of this apartment anytime soon. Looks at Kaya.
What was the keyword?
Okay, good. Yeah, keyword war. By the way, where the fuck is your sling?
On the ground in the bar.
Marcus puts his head in his hands. I should have grabbed it. I should have grabbed the sling. Why didn't I think to grab the sling?
Because you're not
You fucking,
mother.
fucking killing me, Locke. Fucking reaches into her fucking medical kit.
Don't bother doing anything until Veloska's done. Dope her up, Veloska.
Veloska's like he's been doing some work during the conversation in like localized anesthesia with localized anesthesia. But at that he just looks up at Legacy and just looks down at Lockhart. Would you rather be unconscious or numb? No difference to me.
Ooh, if she's numb, does that mean that she's gonna be
She's
loopy?
awake. Yeah, you can be unconscious, or you can be awake and like partially numbed and a little bit goofy.
Do it.
I guess she's going to be awake for this.
That's what I figured Lockhart would pick, because I don't think Lockhart is the type to like sleeping when there's a bunch of people around.
Yeah, but she's also had character development.
She said thank you to the group. Oh my god.
She would be okay if it was everybody except Sprite and Calamity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She is, like, the thing is, she's very fucking tired. I do recognize that, so she'll be kind of in and out of the conversation. You know, when you're that half asleep, you know, when you're resting your eyes and you hear the conversation going on around you.
Ah, so you after midnight.
Yep.
And then we hear a snore and we're like, Iris, and you're like, I was awake the whole time.
Yep.
I was listening.
Quote unquote, listening.
Veloska, while he gets ready, he has the anesthesia ready, and he, like, without looking over his shoulder, will address the point made or the point earlier and say, if you want my advice, you cut the head off the snake. Cut the head off the snake, the body dies. Easiest way to handle big problems.
You talking about Tetsuo or are you talking about gangs? Because I'm pretty sure she almost cut the head off the snake twice of the gang.
It's getting this one to cut the head off of anything would be like pulling teeth. For a normal person, pulling teeth for you would be very, very easy.
Wow, he's really got the comments today, huh?
He
He's very
likes
drunk
us.
and very tired.
And he likes us, so just a little bit now.
Mhm.
Man, this is a grown ass man that we have disturbed in the clubbing hours. Like,
I did not realize SAS was part of the healing process.
It's the bonus you get when you come in at this hour.
it builds character.
I like Sassy Valorska. This is more entertaining than the last time we were here.
Mhm. He just continues, and at this point, Lockhart, you feel like one or two very, very intense pierces of pressure, followed by a like spreading warmth of numbness as he applies some local anesthesia. And he applies it a lot, like to several areas. And we'll just go in and start digging around to the best of his ability. To which, as soon as he starts to dig around to deal with the bullet damage, Calamity jumps up and hustles over. And Calamity is watching this whole time as Veloska digs around to remove some of the bullet heads from your abdomen.
What a
At
fucking
least-
weirdo.
At least she can serve as an extra set of hands if he really needs it,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody else has to worry about it.
Here, hold this bowl. While he just cling little bullet
Mm.
fragments.
Celeste, hold this bowl, or hold this coffee cup, because that's what I have.
Oh yeah.
I really imagine like Lockhart is probably viscerally uncomfortable with just a bystander looking at her with like having part of her numbed and in a state of utter weakness.
Mm-hmm.
But if it makes Lockhart feel any better, Calamity is not looking at her face at all, just at the wounds. More of Veloska's hands.
Would you mind stepping away?
Veloska's like looks over at you and then looks back at the wounds, like realizing you're not talking to him. And then Calamity like blinks and then looks at Lockhart. And she just goes, "No, I want to watch."
She's not doing nothing, look. She's fine.
It's cool.
And if nothing else, maybe you're gonna remember some of it, Cal. And if push comes to shove, emergency.
Hmm. How uncomfortable does Lockhart look?
On a scale of 1 to 10, like a 7.
Not the most uncomfortable she's ever looked.
Yeah.
But
And it's slowly rising.
Alright, well, Kaya is just gonna kind of give like a wave. Like, hey, Cal, would you actually like mind backing off a little bit?
But I want to watch the surgery stuff. It's
Well-
so cool.
Yeah, but they got like videos for that, and also like it's not really good for her. Stressful situation, and then another stressful situation. So could you please not?
Roll me cool. Legacy, you feel like a bump on your elbow as Sprite points to Kaya and just nods furiously.
Is Kaya real cool?
Yeah, Kaya, roll cool, because you need to convince Calamity that she should not be doing what she's doing.
How many boosts can I add to a single roll?
One of your own.
Ah, this is so not good.
Especially considering Legacy was just like, leave her alone.
But let's see all the sixes, yeah?
Mm.
Eh,
So I will say it's not a high DC because you don't need to like you're not trying to sell her a new car, right? You're just trying to convince her to give the wounded person space.
Mm-hmm.
To which Calamity scrunches her nose and she looks down at Lockhart's wounds. Lockhart. Describe to me the look on Lockhart's face and where she is looking. Like where her eyes are.
So, just trying to set this up. Was Calamity like on the back of the couch, watching from the back, essentially, or like standing next to Veloska?
Standing next to Veloska. So if you had, like couch, and then Lockhart was here.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking.
You have Veloska, and then you have Calamity.
The look on her face is it's not panic, but it's kind of the vibe you get when like an animal's cornered, kinda.
Shifty.
You know? Yeah. Yeah, shifty. And it's like she can't move because Veloska's working and she's also very numbed up. She does feel very vulnerable. So it's like, yeah, it's like her eyes are moving around a lot, trying to keep eyes on what's around her, like her surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
And just like every time her eyes land on Calamity or whoever besides Veloska who's closest, like her frown deepens a bit, kind of thing.
So you look very anxious, outwardly anxious, and
yeah.
I
was gonna say, as well as like she's trying to keep her eyes open too. Like on top of that, she is tired. She is numbed up. Like she had 48 hours of 2 major fights. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's a little like not desperate, but like you said, anxious.
Mm-hmm. So like with that said, Calamity will like look up and down at Lockhart, and there like a look crosses her face. And if you want to know what it is, you have to roll cool for it. But she takes a step back and will put her hands in her pockets and act like it was not a big deal anyway. So you're like, all right, good luck, buddy. And she pats Veloska on the back. Like Veloska doesn't even flinch. He is continuing to do his thing. Marcus, you hear him like raise a finger and you just go, I don't think he needs it, but also like, should you tap him when he's in the middle of a thing? I wouldn't want to touch him.
Somehow I think that a pat on the back is by far one of the nicest things that has happened to Veloska while he's in the middle of a thing.
That may be true, but like, would it like throw off his groove? Is that a thing? Lockhart, Calamity walks away, and you're just left on your back, staring up into just the generic stucco ceiling and Veloska's just tired eyes. As you are sitting there, you can hear this, but no one else can. You hear Veloska, like, you almost think for a second that he's not talking to you, because you're kind of tuned out to the world at the moment. But after a second, you realize that he was talking to you. You hear Veloska say, "You still don't trust anyone." And not a question, but like a statement of fact.
Hmm. She looks at Veloska, realizing he was speaking to her. And she will mutter to him, old habit.
You just see the slight nod, Veloska. Not a nod of like. Rather, it is him nodding to say that he understands that you still don't trust anyone.
Hmm.
But it's also kind of a consolation of like, not consolation, but like kind of forfeiting like, well, still don't trust anyone, I guess. You know, it's middle of the road of those two feelings.
Lockhart, kind of, she's looking at Veloska and his response, and he leans her head back into the, like, the side of the couch / pillow and kind of adds to, like, after response kind of thing. She adds, it's slowly changing though.
Hey, for a second, his eyes dart over to you, and he kind of just tries to read your expression. What is Lockhart feeling in her, like, what is her kind of emotional read right now?
The best way I could describe this, because like she had that very panicked and like distrustful, like, bit of panic or whatever. But at this point, like, she laid her head back, she closed her eyes, which she doesn't do around people unless she trusts them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she closed her eyes, and she just seems kind of like resigned isn't the right word,
Mm-hmm.
but the best way to put it is like it's like, okay, I guess this is happening. It's not bad, I guess, sort of.
Veloska he kind of scans your face, and after that little assessment, he nods once and in this understanding sort of way. And he doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything after that. But you get the distinct feeling of something like not pride, but like a sort of I can't think of another way to describe it other than like a little bit of relief. Somewhere between pride and relief.
Hmm. Lockhart gets the vibes, but she doesn't really comment on it or anything. She just um, what's the word that I'm looking for? She has her space, but she's also like when Calamity kind of stepped off, right? And kind of after the small conversation with Veloska, she kind of realizes that she is around people that won't hurt her.
Mm-hmm.
And she like relaxes a little bit. Like her posture, like not posture, but like besides the numbing medication and whatnot, or the anesthesia, like she isn't as tense herself. She kind of lets that she lets the tension and the like how this tension in her shoulders and whatnot, and kind of just lets it go a bit, seeming a bit more relaxed, like she's in a safe place.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Veloska will continue working on removing the bullets left in you, as well as patching you up to the best of his ability. Which, his ability is good. But at the point at which, like, the way things have progressed, you could probably get an adequate patch job from most of these injuries. You could probably get a decent enough patch job from anyone at this point. Anyone in the periphery of, like, the group. Like Kaya, for example.
Kaya got
If you so chose. Mm-hmm.
Wait, what about Kaya?
She has medical experience.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
If that is the hint that Veloska needs a break, Lockhart will kind of, after some of the work that he's done and whatever, she'll look to Veloska and see how tired and in a quote-unquote bad mood he was in. And basically say, we can bandage me up from here.
He stops partway through and then looks at you and then raises an eyebrow. And then we'll continue doing the work. And he won't comment on it, just very much stoically like ignore the comment and continue his patchwork.
Isn't me being difficult. I'm saying you look tired as hell. And if it's just bandaging, I can do it.
I am already in the process of doing it. Let me finish my job. Plus, I am involved in this. He takes one hand, like, finishes something with a tool, and then puts it down and sets it onto the tray that he has placed, like, next to him. And he'll do a hand wave, this sort of like, you know that wave where you kind of gesture around at everything? He does that gesture and just goes, I am also involved in this. Whatever it is thing you have going on.
Is this conversation loud enough for other people to hear at this point?
I would say you could hear them talking, but if you wanted to get the specifics of it, I would say, make a clever roll.
How nosy is Legacy? Yep. There she go.
I didn't have my sheet open. It took me a second.
Okay.
No boost.
No boost. She is partially into. She is trying to both keep Marcus from fucking touching his wound and also entertaining herself by fidgeting with Larry.
I'd also like to roll.
You may.
Full. Ha!
So, that conversation, you both can hear some of the finer details, like, of Veloska saying, like, he's involved with whatever. And you obviously, he did not hide the hand gesture, so you can very clearly see him do the hand gesture.
Legacy will just immediately, like, grin and kind of pause what she's, like, doing. Like, I imagine she's, like, to the extent that Larry is not fighting her or not trying to, like, leave and do something else, because she would immediately stop if he was. But, like, just fucking almost like when you have a cat and you're, like, make them, like, stick their arms out and make them dance. Doing that with Larry.
No, he thinks that's fun. So he is absolutely, despite being like a bulky machine, he will absolutely be held awkwardly like a cat so that you can wiggle his arms for him.
And she, like, immediately pause what she's doing with Larry, kind of, like, stare at Veloska for a second. Oh, Veloska's part of the Rebels. You
can hear the
like
grumble.
us.
You, from Larry, who you have stopped wiggling his arms, you hear him say, everybody likes us.
I don't know about that, but what's important is she will use Larry's arm to point at Veluska's back. He likes us.
You did sort of sign up for this.
He looks at Lockhart. And just there, you can see it more clearly, Lockhart. There's a to everyone else's perspective, you can see his kind of shoulders move back and his head tilt up a little bit. Lockhart, you see that it is the kind of gesture you make when you shrug and roll your eyes. And he just goes, did not want this, but I will not complain now that I'm here.
I mean, you could have not knocked out your sign.
Could have. Don't tempt me to knock out my sign now. Because I might. He looks at you, narrows his eyes.
She gives a bit of a half-joking smile.
Mm.
Yes, Amy?
Chaos roll.
Not exactly a chaos roll. This is not a chaotic character. But Kai is gonna just like, I don't know, sit up a little bit. Because, again, I forgot that she stole fucking Lockhart's lazy boy because she's not using it. I'm gonna say, like, hey, Vloska?
He doesn't turn to look at you, but you hear and recognized like the noise of recognition where he just goes, hmm?
If, like, the two of yous, like, you know, you and Locke, are okay with it, could I, like, help you with the bandages? Or, like, see how you do it? Because, like, you're a, you know, medical doctor, and I'm, like, not that kind of doctor. But I took, you know, some first aid kit shit. So, I mean, I'd like to get better at it.
He Lockhart, you can see that when he is not thinking about something or whatever, like when he's not thinking about a response, his eyes are very much concentrated on his work. But as he hears Kaya's ask, he stops his work and then his eyes go to yours. And the implication is that he is silently asking if you want that to happen.
Small consideration and a glance over to Kaya, then look back to Veloska and give a very small. It'd be good to have someone with more experience for when we're out in the field.
Unless you
Maybe
want to
take
bring
some
in a
stress off your
shotgun.
shoulders.
Bringing a shotgun.
Unless you want to bring in a shotgun, because not gonna lie, you're intimidating as fuck with the shotgun, dude.
Legs, we want them to keep liking us.
It's too late for him.
You don't know that.
If he was gonna stop liking us, he would have stopped liking us like 4 weeks ago.
You know, like, people are, you know... She doesn't continue.
Veloska, he He just simply understands the like all of the weirdness that he has been dragged into. With Lockhart's approval, he will call Kaya over.
He is
Okay.
choosing the appropriate path with Legacy of just ignore her.
Just ignore her. And Kaya will, pop up, make her way over to learn / observe / help. Because she
And-
knows how to do bandage, but she wants to be really good at it.
Mm-hmm. As you
Mhm.
come and get closer, Veloska, he turns slightly to kind of welcome you into the fold. As you get closer, or as Kaya gets closer to the two of them, Sprite again elbows Legacy and points and just goes "Look, they're doing the thing." And then, as Legacy is, you're just looking, whether or not you're paying attention to Sprite, you see Veloska, he makes eye contact with you for a brief second, and then, in as lovingly a way as he can, flips you the bird.
She just waves Larry's arm at him, smirking.
Oh no. She's been left alone with Larry.
Just looks down at Larry. We're gonna have to get you a couple more fingers so you can start doing that.
Bird.
Yeah, weird. While this is happening, because I don't want to necessarily
Mhm.
waste the time that they have with Sprite and Calamity either, I imagine Legacy is trying to, and also so that you have time to think it over and prepare,
Mm-hmm.
is trying to, because Calamity has already said that her group has done a lot in the fucking lab ward. I forget what the name of it is right now.
Turing.
Turing, yeah. She's trying to do the info download from Calamity
Mm-hmm.
of what the basics and layouts and things that Calamity knows and can tell her easily. And also because she has Larry, so Larry's gonna record this shit. So if Legacy forgets, Larry has it.
Okay. I am down with that. I will make up some notes to give you for Turing. That will give me time to make up those notes, as you had said.
The beauty of having the steel trap mind of a learning drone, of a learning AI.
he just remembers everything.
Might take you a second to get him to remember the thing that you want him to remember, but he remembers it.
He starts fucking quoting people verbatim.
He does have a mind like a steel trap, which is both fortunate and unfortunate.
Especially when you say something you don't want him to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So
Or you say something that you don't think he hears.
Yep.
She's trying to get that the Turing information download, because she's not, I will say, aside from the Tetsuo lab, she's not asking a whole bunch of specifics about buildings, because she doesn't know if they need to go into any at the moment other than that facility, but any of the general information. And then both Sprite and Calamity, the specifics of their setup thus far and who is attending or performing or helping with the show.
Gotcha.
So that we will have that information to be able to more intelligently plan.
Perfect.
all while still making Larry dance.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Hell yeah.
You know, we haven't had a good fucking in a while.
Interesting choice of words.
I know what I said.
Anyone who pays any attention to the Larry lore knows exactly what that means.
But I think this would be a good time to finish.
Hey, hey, you survived, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
job,
how you
Joe.
It
feeling?
was. I am okay.